Greetings, old school magic players, and welcome to the Four Horsemen.
Greetings, old school magic players. Welcome to another Four Horsemen video. This time we are covering a Tournament 9 semifinals match between Peter and Ian. We'll be taking a look at Ian's deck here in a moment. Chad, how you doing today?
Good, man. We had a great game last night. A lot of fun. On a Saturday night for the Thanksgiving holiday weekend. We actually covered the finals match, so we don't want to give any spoilers away, but it was a 3-hour in-person session, and the video for that's going to be fabulous. So glad to be covering these semifinals matches with you so we can showcase that. For anyone who's interested, Four Horsemen Old School Magic Players Group is a group of really friendly and kind of network focused group of folks that are not necessarily super spiky, but definitely like to have fun playing old school magic cards. You can check us out at fourhorsemenmagic.com. Yeah, so John, this tournament's been kind of dragging on. The original dates here were targeted through the 19th. We've bled over into the Thanksgiving holidays, but we have the benefit of having that finals match in person with our two mystery finalists. So we definitely can make an exception for something cool like that for Tournament 9.
Oh yeah, it was worth it to wait the extra 6 days for the finals match. That was a lot of fun to watch, a lot of fun to commentate on, and I think people are going to enjoy that video.
Right. So someone from the semifinals match today will be moving on to the finals. So it'll be great for the viewers to check out who ultimately emerges victorious here. A quick snapshot of the banned and restricted. Most of our viewers have seen this, so won't spend too much time on that. Let's talk about the brackets real quick. Here's where we're standing on the quarterfinals brackets. We've played all these matches, and John and I have covered all the games, so these are all available on the Four Horsemen YouTube, and there's also a Four Horsemen playlist for Tournament 9, so you can just go to the YouTube Four Horsemen page and check out the Tournament 9 playlist. John, what do you think about all these sweeps again, all these 0-2s, 2-0s?
It seems to be the situation in almost all of our finals for the last couple of tournaments. I don't know if that just means that a lot of people are playing kind of fun stuff and there's a couple spikier decks that are making their way through the ranks, or what. I mean, I don't know. I think Peter's deck is pretty spicy, even though it's been doing really well. And we'll take a look at Ian's here in a minute. But yeah, I don't know. It's really strange when it's just all 2-0s across the board every time.
Yeah. Well, I know in my match versus Nick, Nick kind of got mana screwed, and he had plenty of mana in his deck, and he was running land tax. I mean, it was really kind of frustrating for him and me both. It doesn't feel like much of a great matchup when someone just loses by getting bad draws.
Yeah, when they don't actually play a game of Magic, and that's one of the reasons why we decided to make the finals 3 out of 5 this time.
Yeah.
And I think we'll probably continue to do that going forward, just to make sure the decks get to, have some games where they come out and they don't just stumble on mana one game and then lose the whole thing over it.
Yeah. And in Mike's match versus Max, there was some moments where we thought Mike was going to pull ahead, but Max just had such a strong deck. JS versus Ian, this was JS's very first tournament. JS is new to Four Horsemen, and he also was not playing a ton of super high end expensive cards. He's just playing the cards he has. Whereas, you know, Ian has played in several tournaments now. He's really improved his deck construction and strategy. He's, you know, made it to quarterfinals a few times, and I think he made it. You know, this is his first time, I think, making it to semifinals. So, you know, what we're seeing is as the players that are new to the format come in and discover it, you know, with all the deck pictures that we've made available and all the YouTube videos, there's a ton of resources for new players to quickly, you know, improve on their game, and it's been really cool to see Ian do that.
Yeah, Ian's been doing great. He's there's really I don't know, I'm happy with a lot of the newer players that are coming in, and they just bring a lot to the group. And of course, Ian's been around for a while and has been really playing in all the tournaments and contributing and brewing, and it's just been a lot of fun.
Yeah, really is fun. We've got such a great group of guys here. All right, so we're gonna zoom in on the match of Ian Stedman versus Peter Soltesz. Basically, we've got a red, green, and black tricolor, what I coined Untamed Djinns and Efreets. There's Sylvan Library, Untamed Wilds, a bunch of Djinns and Efreets, and a ton of good red cards, including Stormworld and others. And we've already seen Peter's overview, the blue, red, green, tricolor Reincarnation Rukh Valley. Let's take a deep dive into Ian's deck build. So where should we start here, John? This deck has a lot of red, which is near and dear to your heart.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, we're seeing a lot of green in this tournament, either paired with blue or paired with black, or both. And you know, you're seeing some of the usual suspects, like the Djinns, that are very good. But this is cool to see somebody playing. I don't think I saw anybody else in this tournament play Curdape. We've seen it in previous tournaments. We've seen a lot of red-green builds, but not a lot of red-green this time around. So, you know, the removal here is pretty good. It's nice to have the Chain Lightnings and the Pyrotechnics for that extra reach. Also, those Storm Worlds acting as racks, basically. Or I'm sorry, not the rack. It works like the other one, Black Vice, right?
Yes, it's basically, it works like the rack. So any cards in your hand below 4 are going to deal damage to you. So it forces your opponent to keep stuff in their hands and not empty their hand down.
Oh, all right, good. I was right the first time then. So he's going to get those out for extra damage. He can Hurricane with the If Biffs for extra damage. So he has a lot of avenues to do direct damage once he's got the opponent down in life a bit.
Yeah. And, you know, you got the usual suspects between Chain Lightning and Pyrotechnics. Those are a no-brainer for. The Curdapes, yeah, they're super strong if you get them out early. But since there's a lot of other 1/1s in this format and a lot of Pendlehavens, you know, between Scavenger Folk, Elves of Deep Shadow, we've seen a lot of Sinbad. You know, that Pendlehaven on the 1/1s can really slow down early 2/3s. So if you're gonna run Curdapes, they're gonna run into big creatures. Plus, you know, we've seen, John, with some of the other decks that are running green, if you're running Elves of Deep Shadow and Fellwar Stones, and let's say you're running green-blue, you can easily play a first turn Elves of Deep Shadow. You can play a second turn Serendib Efreet, you know, and another elf, and you can play a third turn Urnum Djinn.
Third turn Urnum. Yeah, it's pretty tough. You know, those 2/3s get outclassed pretty quickly. Also, Peter's got Rook Eggs. I mean, those are not going to be great against Rook Egg.
Yeah, that's right. And this is, I think, the challenge with Curdape. He's really good if you get a Taiga and a Curdape first turn, so you can hit for damage early. But he quickly becomes fattied with Juzum Djinn, Urnum Djinn, and Serendib Efreet. So yeah, if I were to make some, you know, constructive changes to Ian's deck, if I'm gonna run Curdape, I'm gonna want to run Bloodlust, you know. And it's like, You're gonna be trying to hit for 6 damage with the Card Ape, on turn 2 kind of thing. And Ian's not running Bloodlust. In fact, you could make the argument that you could take the Card Apes out and put in Bloodlusts, and with Untamed Djinn, with the If Biffs, with Untamed Djinn, if you hit with any of those, you can hit for 9, 8 or 9, right? Well, I guess you can hit for 8, which is pretty good. So yeah, I don't know about the Card Apes. What would you change on the red side, if anything?
I mean, I think probably if it was me, I would probably just play 2 colors. I would probably just play red-green, and strip the black out. I don't know if he's getting enough from black. I mean, as powerful as the 5/5 for 4 is, he is double black, and he's the only black card he's playing, and he doesn't have Elves of Deep Shadow to help him play it either, so he's just hoping to naturally hit his 2 black in his 3-color deck, and I don't know how good that is. Now, he does have some sideboard cards that require black as well. I see some oubliettes there and some Underworld Dreams. Underworld Dreams seems like it'd be a nightmare to try to cast in this deck. But, I don't know. I think that I might streamline it and just go red-green.
Well, I mean, I do like the idea of red, green, black. I think what I would do with this deck, I mean, there's tons of great green cards, as you pointed out. If Biff is really strong if your opponent's not playing green. So the If Biffs, for me, they might be a sideboard card. The Storm World is an interesting choice, and there's so many enchant worlds out there that are powerful that I think that's a good include, but I also think it should be a sideboard card. The Scavenger Folk, the main thing they take down in this game is Fellwar Stones and things like Triskelions or Clockwork Avians. I would sideboard the Scavenger Folks as well. And I honestly, I probably would swap out, instead of playing Card Ape, I would play, as you suggested, the Elves of Deep Shadow, and that way you could get a first turn elf. It's interesting he's running Untamed Wilds, but it's a great synergy to Sylvan Library, because it's one of the only ways to shuffle, other than getting your Jaloom Tome out and getting cards, off the top into the graveyard. It's one of the only ways to shuffle away, a bad set of top cards when you have Sylvan Library out in Four Horsemen.
Absolutely, yeah. In the absence of blue with no Sinbads in this deck, the Untamed Wilds is cool. I tried it in mine. I played green, black, blue this time around, and when we were testing decks around and screwing around, I had a couple of Untamed Wilds, and I ended up trimming back to 1, and then I think before the tournament I trimmed all of them. I don't think I ended up playing it.
Yeah.
But I like the idea of it. It's kind of cool. It brings the land in untapped.
Yes,
too, so
right.
You can go get whatever color you're missing, and then you might even be able to play something that turn,
right,
using the land, which is kind of neat.
Yeah.
And I see that he has 4. He's playing a full 4 Sylvans.
Right.
So that's he probably needs it.
Yeah. The other thing that I've noticed here is he's only running 2 bad lands, and Ian's cool with proxies and things, so we know that he could definitely include 2 more Badlands. He doesn't really need a basic mountain. Even with Blood Moon, all your non-basics become mountains. So I would.
Well, he wants to be able to search it with the Untamed Wilds.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, because it's a basic land, so that's a really good point that you can search for the swamp.
But probably he only needs 1 of each basic. Like, he probably could have still managed to shoehorn the other Badlands in there, but maybe not. I don't know.
Well, yeah. I just think that if you're going to be running Untamed Djinn, like you pointed out, he's going to be relying on the Untamed Wilds to get those swamps. So
get that second black for sure.
I mean, I would ditch a couple of these forests and you've already got taigas, bayous, and a Pendlehaven. I would go with 2 Pendlehavens and ditch 2 of the forests, and see if you can squeeze in an extra Badlands so you can get to the the 3rd Badland at the least, or maybe even put in an extra swamp. But you're going to have to get the double black, and one way to help do that is with the Elves of Deep Shadow. So I would definitely ditch the Scavenger folks to the sideboard. They're a great sideboard card. And I would put the Elves of Deep Shadow in, and I would take out the Curd Apes altogether, and go for something bigger. I mean, you and I, John, have seen how Clockwork Avian is really strong as a flyer, and it can't be touched by dust to dust. So,
yeah,
he doesn't. The only flyers he has right now is If Biff, and If Biff is very vulnerable to other green, and we know.
And there's so much green in this
so
tournament.
much green because green is so powerful. So, I mean, I would rather see something that's not so vulnerable to the green hurricane than the If Biffs. So, I would swap out those If Biffs and just put in like 4 Clockworks. And if you have the Untames and you have the Elves of Deep Shadow, you're gonna get to that 5 mana without a problem. And so you'd have a first turn elf. You don't have a second turn play. Well, yes, you do. You have a second turn play with the Whirling Dervish, and if you have a couple Pendlehavens, you want to try and protect them with the Pendlehaven. You could have a third turn Untamed Wilds. You could also have a second turn Sylvan Library, and then you could have a 4th turn, and it could be anything from Urnum to Juzum to Clockwork Avian.
It's interesting to see 4 Dervishes main, especially at double green. That's
Right.
I don't know. It seems like it might be tough to sequence some of the cards here, depending on which duels you hit.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. I do like Stormseeker. We've seen Stormseeker a few times in some of the other decks, and it's very sneaky. One of the things he could do is, if you think about, if you did want to keep the Curd Apes in and you're trying to go for that super rapid damage, why not optimize this a little more and include Bloodlusts and see if you could work in a couple of the Stormseeker's main, because that could be very sneaky, a very sneaky way to shock and surprise your opponent. If you hit them with a second turn Curd Ape and Bloodlust it, let's say you get a Chain Lightning to the face, and then you get some of your other Djinns and Efreets out, and then you just surprise them with a sneaky Stormseeker that could do 4 damage for 4 cards in their hand. That could be a way to win as well.
But, yeah, lots of avenues for direct damage in this deck. I like that about it a lot.
Yeah. So, this is a really interesting red, green, black build. I don't think that Ian has run anything quite exactly like this before, so it'll be really interesting to see how he does. We've taken a look at Peter's deck in the other videos, so we won't spend a ton of time here, but, blue, red, green, Reincarnation, Rook Valley, all the synergies that we've talked about between Reincarnation, the Rook Egg, the Triskelions, pump abilities with the Wolves and the Old Man, and Serendibs and Triskelions are just strong in general. Dance of Many to copy stuff, Sylvan Sinbad to draw, Diamond Valley to sack your Rook Egg and gain life off of other creatures, and then of course the Mana Drains, Pendlehavens. It's just such a strong deck. It's killer good. All right, I think we're ready to get into the semifinals match. Ian Stedman's red, green, black, Untamed Djinns and Efreets versus Peter Soltesz blue, red, green, Reincarnation Rook Valley. All right, let's do it. I'm going to queue up the video for us, John. And
there it is.
Over here. All right. So I'm playing this in a little bit of a faster speed here. They're rolling. Peter gets a 6. So he looks like he'll be going first. Ian is taking a mulligan.
Man, The number of mulligans we've seen in this tournament, very high.
Yeah, I wonder if we went back and looked at all the deck pictures in kind of tandem overview. I wonder if we would see everybody's running 22 lands or 21 lands kind of thing.
I don't know.
Or maybe people, like you were saying, I know we've theorized about this, maybe people are getting a little more aggressive about trying to get a better opening hand and not being so worried about the draw. And there we go. Ian's got his dream hand. First turn Taiga, Curdape. So here's where you see, Curdape shining. But look at that, John. the Curdape Nightmare, Mishra's Factory.
Well, here's another Curdape. So he's on the aggressive play here. But yeah, I mean, now he could just block and kill one of them with the factory, which he does.
So Bloodlust would be a great answer here, or in post-combat main, a Chain Lightning. With a Bloodlust on a Curdape, you could hit for 6. It's huge. All right, so
I'm kind of surprised that Ian ran those right into the factory, but I mean, I guess he just feels like he wants to keep the gas down and continue to attack as often as possible.
Yeah, this just shows how powerful Mishra's Factory is. It's just like, it's really tough.
And we're only running it as a one of now,
Yeah.
So he happened to draw his only copy.
Yeah, it is restricted. So Peter has...
This is not looking favorable for Ian.
No.
I mean, Peter's just sitting here building up his war chest, and Ian's running his weenies into that factory over and over.
Yeah, it would be much better just
and then his Urnum gets mana drained.
Yeah, it would be much better for him just to put all his creatures and not attack and build up an army and then sweep in all at once than to keep losing a one creature a turn. But yeah.
It's not like there's no sweepers in this format, so you don't have to worry too much about, building up an army on your side.
Right.
This just seems so one-sided right now.
The other
comes down.
The other thing that Ian could have done is he should have attacked first, and then let Peter animate his factory and all that, because then Peter would. I mean, he might have taken the damage, but he may have tapped out to kill the dervish, and then he could have played the Untamed Djinn, but instead he cast Untamed Djinn before combat. Is that right?
Yeah.
Is that the right sequence?
I never do it that way, but a lot of people seem to. They just don't really think about the sequencing, I guess.
Yeah, the sequencing, if he had just played that Urnum in second main, Peter might have gone down the animate factory path, and then he wouldn't have had 2 blue to mana drain with. And now Peter plays a Rook Egg with 3 of the mana, and he's attacking with using the last mana to animate the factory and attack. Yeah, I mean, Peter's ground defense with his single restricted factory and Rook Egg, and he did a dance of many on the Rook Egg. Is that how that went down? So to get the token?
Yeah, and then ate the copy with Diamond Valley to gain life and to get a token.
Ugh.
And now his next turn he'll eat the regular Rook, and he might even have a reincarnation for it.
Yeah.
So he's just going to be coming in with multiple Rook tokens, which is just going to be really hard for Ian to deal with.
Really tough. And he's got everything he needs. The Diamond Valley munches and gains him life, as well as putting the Rooks in play. So when he does it, he's coming back up in life and getting the 4/4 flyers. It's really hard to deal with that. And there's the Wailuli Wolf. Yeah, Ian has managed to cast one of his Urnums finally, but with the flyers coming over in the skies, you can't block that. Now here's where the if biffs could be useful against a Rook token, but once again, probably only if your opponent's not playing green. You could play an if biff, but you'd have to have basically eight green mana so that you could drop the if biff and then fire off the hurricane for 4. And then that would kill the if biff, but it would kill the Rook tokens. But I mean, who has 8 green mana, or 6 green
Certainly
mana?
not you.
6 green mana would be the minimum. Okay, so he's attacking with the Untamed Djinn, and then the Dervish, I think, is a 3/3 now.
Yes. Or it must be a 2/2 still, because he's Pendlehaving one of the wolves and blocking to kill it. Oh no, they do trade. So, well, that doesn't make any sense. There's not really any way for those to trade. Either the wolf was a 2/3 and the dervish was a 3/3.
Oh,
or
yeah.
The wolf was a 2/3 and the dervish was a 2/2. Either way, only one of those creatures should have died, not both of them. So I'm not sure why or how they traded.
Oh, did he block? He probably blocked with both. Did he have 2 Wailulu wolves?
Yeah.
I think he blocked with both Wailulu wolves and pumped one of them.
Oh, I see.
So
it was a 3/3.
It would be a 3/4
He
total
blocked
damage.
both
Yeah.
and chose to kill the one that was pumped.
Right.
Got it.
Right. All right. So he's doing a recall. He's ditching a Serendib Efreet and recalling a mana drain. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, that just locks the game up, right? Like, he's already winning, and now he just has a counterspell for whatever Ian's going to play.
Right. So there he's got the mana drain for the if biff, and that's it. Ian scoops it up. So game 1 is a really rough one for Ian. He just couldn't get anything going, mainly because of that Mishra's Factory. I mean, if the Mishra's...
Yeah, it was unfortunate, because he had really good traction there. Like, had Peter not had the factory,
yeah,
he would have been Kurdape, Dervish, Djinn.
Yeah,
right.
It would have
been beating in with all that stuff.
Right. Yeah, and he would have been taking damage from all those weenies until he could basically get down a Pendlehaven and a 1/1 or a Rook Egg. So yeah, it would have been a totally different game if Peter didn't happen to have a first turn factory. It's just really unfortunate and bad luck for Ian there, and really good luck for Peter.
Well, I mean, it's one of the reasons why we have, restricted factory. Everybody was just playing 4, as you should if they're allowed. Same thing with strip mine. It just gives a little bit more deck brewing space and a lot more flexibility to play different strategies when you're not just going to get randomly stripped out of a game or have games come down to factory. I mean, even now some games come down to the single factory being able to attack, but at least it's just a one-of.
Yeah.
Yeah, Peter's really just been on a real roll. I mean, if anybody's been watching these videos, they know he's been crushing it, multiple tournaments in a row. But he really did bring some innovation to this particular deck. I really like it.
Yeah, I mean, he's been killing it. He's sweeping all of his matches through the pods and the quarterfinals, and now in this semifinals match, it's a total blowout for game 1. But, I mean, what are the chances that he would have that one factory? It's like, Peter is playing well, and his deck is amazing, and it's got so many synergies, and the way it works is really powerful, but he's also been very fortunate in some of these kind of unique situations like this. Like this would have been a totally different game if that factory were not out turn 1.
Absolutely.
So there's luck as well as good building and skill. It all has to come together. Okay, now I don't see any mulligans going down this game. All right, so Ian starts off with a Bayou.
Yep, everybody seemed to have kept, so that's something.
And you know, looking at Ian's sideboard, I mean, there's just not much for him to sideboard in here. There's really no, there's no threats from the enchant worlds that Ian's really worried about. He's just, I mean, he's got big creatures that are taking him down. So Oubliette is probably the thing. He probably sideboarded in his 2 Oubliettes, and really he should be running 4 of those. Okay, Untamed Wilds. So Ian's at least getting a little ramp. Meanwhile, Peter's, you know, not missing a land drop. Got his double blue and the Sylvan Library out early. So, you know, Peter's setting it all up here to make it really tough for Ian. Ian's had no early threats whatsoever. Okay, so Peter did not have the mana drain there. Did you see that, John?
Yeah, he actually didn't have one, amazingly enough.
That's like the first time I've ever seen that. He like always has it.
He did have a Rook Egg, so you know he can block here and get his token. Ooh, he has the Oubliette for the Rook Egg.
Nice.
Well, this is certainly going better for Ian than the last game.
Yeah, that's looking a lot better. Getting rid of that Rook Egg is killer. Now wait a minute. Oh, the Diamond Valley. We forgot about the Diamond Valley. He activated the Diamond Valley in response.
It was untapped. Yeah, I wonder if Ian even realized that. Like, I don't even think it's worth targeting.
Yeah,
the thing.
He probably didn't realize it. Peter would have, you know, munched it with the Diamond Valley anyway, or munched it by blocking to the Urnum, and then he could have oublietted the token. So, I think that was a big play error on Ian's part.
Oh, that's too bad. And now he's got a second Rook Egg.
So Ian does find a Pyrotechnics, which is pretty good, but that allows Peter to munch his targeted Rook token with the Diamond Valley. So, I mean, he's able to get rid of it, but Peter gains 4 life in the process. Okay, now, but his Diamond Valley was tapped. How did he munch his other Rook Egg?
I think he just munched one of the. I think he just munched the egg itself to get another flyer, and he let him kill the other token.
Oh, and he let him kill the other token. So he took his play back.
We'd have to rewind it to look. I'm not sure.
Yeah, he went back here. He gained. He went up to 23 life from the 4. Diamond Valley and the token. It looks like he went back and redid it. You know, we shouldn't really be doing that in these tournaments for sure. But now there's a Triskelion coming down, so that's even scarier. Now you got a 4/4 flyer and a Triskelion. Ian comes in with the Urnum. And Ian plays it if Biff. Now there should really only be 3 counters on Triskelion, not 4.
Yeah, I also don't. I don't know if he's just signifying that it's a 4/4, but that's kind of unclear. There should just be 3.
So here's a really good example of why if Biff is is not cutting it as a main deck card.
Exactly.
You know,
because he's just going to kill it immediately. He's
Right.
going to just do 3 and kill it, and then he's not even going to lose his token, because I don't think that's a forest that or is that a forest that Ian has left?
Yeah, Ian has a forest untapped, so that is probably what's saving him right now, because Ian could pump that 4th one in, and
he should still do it though. Peter should still do it. I mean, he should attack first, but
yeah,
I don't know. We'll see.
Attack first, and then maybe do it afterwards.
Oh, reincarnation on the token.
But that's an instant, isn't it?
Yeah, he's just leaving it there to signify that he's done it, so he doesn't forget to do it. It's like the way when he plays Mana Drain, he leaves the Mana Drain sitting out and puts the counters on it.
So basically, if Ian doesn't block with his if biff, then Ian can block with his if biff and then activate the Hurricane ability, and then in response, Peter could Diamond Valley his dude and gain the 4 life. And since he's played Reincarnation, but what's going on here? Did Peter take back the Reincarnation? This is like this is a major take back. These are 2 major takebacks by Peter. We should not really be allowing this kind of stuff. But now he's playing it again. Okay, so maybe he's just changing the order in which he does it.
Well, I guess there was maybe a question about when you can play it.
Well,
I seem to remember them asking me about like when the timing of it.
Okay.
When they could play it, but it's just an instant, so I mean it's fine.
So Peter just lets the 4/4 flyer hit, and then Ian in fact blocks and does do the Hurricane. So Peter lets the damage go through, so it gets rid of the if biff, and then the reincarnation was still targeted that token, and so he can get his Rook Egg back from the graveyard.
Yeah, and now he'll be able to munch that Rook Egg and make another token again.
Yeah, this is where you're really seeing the inner workings of the powerful combos that Peter has between Reincarnation, Rook Egg, and Diamond Valley. Did you know that Rook Egg was restricted at one point, John?
That's really interesting. So they thought it was powerful enough to restrict it in an actual standard environment?
This is what I heard. I heard that there was a point where Rook Egg got added to the restricted list, but it was taken off not too long after.
Well, I mean, we can check that. Like, there's definitely a record of when things have been restricted, so it'd be worth looking at. I'll check into that.
Okay. Yeah. See what the real story is. I mean, given everything that Ian has run into on Peter's offense and defense, Ian's actually still doing pretty good, except for this. He's having to take this last hit. This 4/4 in the air is really, really tough. But he's gotten rid of like 2 of these 4/4 flyers, and you know, Peter just keeps bringing them back with his reincarnations. It's so difficult. Okay, so Ian needs a flying answer here. He needs a Pyrotechnics or a Maze of Ith, or a Fissure would do the trick, but that Diamond Valley is a real problem. Okay, there's a Pyrotechnics targeting the flyer, so Peter can munch it and gain the 4 life. Goes from 14 to 18. But looky there, I mean, Ian has been able to get rid of the 4th flyer, John. That's like the 4th Rook Egg token.
So this is a little interesting tidbit of Magic trivia. So it was early enough in the days of Magic that the reason that they restricted Rook Egg originally is because of the wording on it just says goes to the graveyard. So what people were doing is they were drawing, not playing anything, and then discarding the Rook Egg from their hand and getting a token. which is, of course, not how Rook Egg works now or was necessarily intended to work. But that's why it was restricted.
Ah, so with the original wording, you could just not play a card, discard Rook Egg, and get a 4/4 flyer.
Yeah. So they just get a 4/4 flyer on turn 1.
Wow. Well, I wish somebody had told us that when we were playing revised rules.
When we were playing by crazy old rules in the
Yeah.
first, like, 3 or 4 tournaments.
Yeah, the Wild Wild West. We did that up until Tournament 4. It was a lot of fun. And, yeah, nobody did that. Nobody did the discard Rook Egg thing. Okay, so I had paused the video. We'll continue here. I mean, Peter's just in such a dominant position. Now he's sacking his... Ian did the Chain Lightning targeting the Triskelion since the Diamond Valley munched the 4/4 flyer. So Peter, what did he do? I guess he just fired off the arms and lost the Triskelion, the 1/1, and now Peter's...
Oh, look, another Rook Egg.
Yeah, Peter's playing Rook Egg number 73. It's like he's gotten all his Rook Eggs and he's reincarnated it. It's like that's like 5 Rook Eggs. It's impossible to deal with. And Ian plays a Curd Ape, but not much he can do. And if he walks his Untamed Djinn in, then, you know, Peter just gets another 4/4. So, interesting. Now that's dangerous. So Ian elects to play his Untamed Djinn, and Peter is electing to munch the Rook Egg with the Diamond Valley and get his 4/4 and then fly over for 4. And that's game. Man, that's just so rough. Peter's deck is so killer good. It's so strong.
I mean, a lot of these decks are already kind of weak to flying, and for him to just basically make, you know, not infinite number of Rook tokens, but make multiple Rook tokens a game, pretty rough. I need to get some more Rook tokens printed up so I can send them to Peter, because I'm tired of looking at those black cards with a dice on it.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, so I do think, you know, as we finish up the Pauper Doubleton tournament, I guess we're just going to do regular Four Horsemen for tournament 11. I do think this deck has potential. You know, it's got some things that could be good, but you really have to double down on the black. And you saw this in some of the test games that you and I had, John, like having 4 or at least 3 Ashes to Ashes, 4 Oubliettes, and 4 Demonic Torment. You know, you can really double down on black creature removal. And if you add to that Fissure and Pyrotechnics, you know, black-red can get real strong real fast. The green is, you know, really best for the elves and for Untamed Djinn. So maybe in the next tournament, Ian can tweak this deck and really double down on that black removal. Adding in the Ashes to Ashes and Oubliette's main deck would be really good. You're ditching the Curd Apes and the If Biffs, and maybe sideboarding some of the If Biffs and the Storm World, I think would be a really good start in moving more.
Yeah,
into
the Dervish
that double
could
black.
go to the sideboard too. I feel like there's a lot of wiggle room here to you know, tool this deck up.
Yeah. All right, so that is the match of Ian and his Untamed Djinns and Efreets. Peter's blue-red-green Reincarnation Rukh Valley victorious. Just totally sweeping all of his matches. And Peter will go to the semifinals, or excuse me, to the finals. And we'll see what the results are from my match versus Max in the next video. That does it for us today. Thanks for joining us, everybody. And we'll see you in the next semifinals match and also in the finals.
Always a pleasure. See you next time, Chad.
All right. Thanks a lot, John. Bye, everybody.
Greetings, old school magic players, and welcome to the Four Horsemen.